major changes that are coming up for 2021?
Yes, let's do that. So we wanted to structure this. So we talked about the major changes first. We have some kernels that have many popcorn seasons under their belt. And so what I assume they wanted to hear what was really changing from last year right off the bat. So we're just going to jump right into that. An exciting new thing that we have is now they're in the Trails End app itself. And for new kernels, this is an app that you download onto your smartphone, and you can basically conduct everything through the app as far as sales wise and storefront and some other ability. But the new thing is you can now do some recruitment through the app. There's actually a recruitment button that you click on, and a form will come up that interested parties can fill out, and that information will then go to the council. And so not only can we sell popcorn, but when people see us out there selling popcorn and they are interested in scouting, we have the ability to collect their information and actually follow through with recruitment. So that's a unique thing we have this year that we've not had before. And then just because the popcorn selling season is a little different in as far as starting and length and so forth every year, I just wanted to highlight that, online direct and online is going to start July 1st, and we're going to run that through November 6th. Of course, if you have extra popcorn left over, whatever, as far as wagon and storefront, you would still continue to sell that. Usually in my group, we sold through to the following weekend to sell off all our remaining inventory. And then storefront wagon, you're going to have it so you can start selling September 11th. And the reason that's a later date is it gets delivered and you're able to pick it up on the September 10th. So you would be able to start selling September 11th and run that through November 6th. Of course, again, if you have extra product, you would continue to sell it until you had none left over. Then there was a option, the next item, option for parents to pay for storefront or wagon sales cash by charging that off on their credit card. So there didn't have to be the transfer of cash between them and you as the kernel. That was available last year, but I'm not sure everyone knew about that. And it's actually a option on the app itself. So that's something to, just a way of not having to make that exchange and simplify things a little bit. You will still probably have times when you'll have storefront cash that you will have to handle, but that just gives you an option to reduce the amount of cash that you actually have to exchange. And then a new item, the next item is the text to pay, and where you can text the order to the customer for them to, so you don't have to actually have them touch your device or do that exchange. Text order to the customer for them to enter their credit card information and complete the sale. That's a new one. That'll be new for us this year. Andrew, do you have anything else that you can add about that one since it's so new?
Yeah, so it's just a convenient way, again, to kind of not have people handling each other's devices or kind of minimizing interaction. So it was in response to COVID. So there's two components. There's a text to pay option for the customer during checkout, or there's an option where the scout that is selling can use their Trails End app and present a QR code that the customer can then hold their phone over and scan and then complete the transaction on their own device. So that way you're not passing your personal device to another person to try and check out, or you're not having to take someone's credit card and swipe it, and it just minimizes the interactions. And again, that's really based out of kind of the COVID environment that we're all coming out of the last several months / I guess years now at this point.
So
Okay,
Andrew,
we
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just what is embedded in the QR code? The order itself, what they ordered, and the cost, the price, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so basically it's their transaction. So built into that is the ability for that consumer to basically complete the transaction. So whatever the scout is talking with the customer, building out a cart, what they want to purchase, what they want to buy, whatever, customer then scans the QR code and it'll have the option for them to complete the transaction with their information, credit card information right then and there, and then obviously take the product with them.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on to the next item, Lauren Dills had a question in the chat saying, I'm also the membership chair for the PAC. When you utilize the recruit option,
I was typing a response, Gary, but I can
oh,
run
you
through
did?
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it's okay. I just hadn't quite gotten there yet. So yeah.
Hey,
so
we're
that
still
information-
working this out, guys. So so it looks like Andrew, you want to go ahead and
Yeah, so this is a new feature. So exactly what that report will look like, I don't know yet, Lauren, because I haven't seen it. But what we would likely do is put that, we as a council have a master tracking sheet. So we take all of the leads generated from BS Scout, from Join SoCal Scouts, phone referrals, email referrals, all of that goes into a consolidated tracking sheet that your district membership chair and district executive have access to. And so they are tasked with then following up on all those leads, because of course our goal is as soon as we get a lead, we want to try and connect that family to a local unit, get them invited to a meeting or an event, get them engaged, and then ultimately, seal the deal, so to speak, close the lead by getting them to actually register. So we track those real time, pretty aggressively, maybe just closely, because we know that as a customer, if you ask for information on something, you want timely communication, right? You don't want it to be like 3 or 4 weeks before someone gets back to you. So I hope we wouldn't have any issue with there being a lengthy gap or missing somebody, if that makes sense.
Question. I have a question.
go ahead.
On the credit cards, does that mean the swiping? And if we're gonna be doing that, are you guys gonna? I remember like 2 years ago, the council had so many of those little swiping devices you could hook onto your phones, and they were giving them to folks to borrow. Is that still going to be available?
Yeah, we still have Square readers available for units and scouts. Trails End usually has a promotion where if a scout sells, if they're a high selling scout on their own, they'll actually get their own swiper. But we have swiper devices that you can use for the sale through the app, and I think I have about 80 of them in my office right now. So we'll make sure that anybody who needs one has that option.
All right.
All right. Okay, moving on to the next major change item. And this is different than prior years. There's going to be a mid-sale October 15th cutoff for returns of unopened cases. And you're going to be restricted to returns net of takes, which is net of your exchange of 10% of your initial order. So what that means is if your initial order was $10,000, then your returns net of amount of inventory you take would be limited to $1,000. So of course, if you take stuff you're selling and return things, unopened cases of items that you are not selling, and it happens to be the same amount, that nets to zero. So you can always do that. We're just trying to make sure everybody's a little conservative on their initial orders and that the council doesn't end up with a very large amount of inventory left over as unsold inventory. So this is a way to sort of still give you the option to return unopened cases, but to limit that somewhat. So rather than just say you can't return anything, we don't want to do that. We're going to have a cutoff date for those, and also limit it a little. But we have put in this whole plan, and you'll see it later, that a process. So we're trying to ensure that you right size your inventory for the program you're going to run. And then you can always do mutually agreed exchanges between units through your Trails End leader page. So that is always throughout the whole sale, you can do that. So that's just another option for you to move unsold inventory between units that maybe have a little more of it than they really need to units that actually need it. So anyway, so that's that one. Next item is there's going to be a mid-sale payment also due on October 15th to WLACC, but we're structuring that a little different. It's going to be based on your sales minus the calculation is basically going to be based on sales, not the inventory you took. So so you will have already sold the volume and collected the funds. So it's going to be your total sales minus your online direct sales, which you didn't take in cash for that, minus your storefront credit card sales, which, you know, that's not a cash sale, minus your earned to date commission. All right. So, and if that amount turns out to be zero, you would owe zero. So I think that's a little fairer way of making a mid sale payment. And it's a little different than what we've done in the past. So, and of course, that would be calculated and we will get that amount out to you as part of your invoice for the mid sales payment.
Gary, just to chime in, so the bigger underlying change as it relates to that kind of mid-sale piece is that in the past, we as a council would collect 100% of the retail value of your popcorn up front, right? We would collect a mid-sale, a final payment for 100% of the retail value, and then we would issue a commission check back. What we're transitioning to this fall is a system where we're not collecting 100% retail. We're just looking at what your balance due back to the council is for the cost of the product and the council component. So you have that cash in your pocket, presuming you're making those sales up front. You're not waiting for a commission check at the end of the sale. So that is a pretty significant change as it relates to kind of your cash flow as a unit, but also our cash flow as a council. And so that mid-sale kind of truing up of things is to ensure that one, you're on target to sell all of your product, and so it's kind of that gut check, like am I selling the product? Do I need to make a return? Do I need to make an exchange? Can I make this payment? Am I making progress in the sale? But with an eye towards you're still going to have more cash at the unit level as your commission sooner through this methodology than you would have had in the past.
That's right. Thank you, Andrew. Go ahead.
I have a question. Is there going to be a spot on the app that we can make a payment as a unit towards our balance? Like at the end of the weekend, if we put the money in the bank and we could just click in and pay for it? Because I think that would be something that would be a lot easier, one, on you guys for trying to collect money from people, but again, to pay our balance down as we go.
Yeah, so Jolene, that's a great question. My understanding is that that does exist from a functionality standpoint. It was actually introduced during 2020, but I think with with COVID and having minimal in-person sales and stuff, it didn't kind of roll out properly. So there is currently a feature set up in the app. So as you're doing storefront sales and you get to the end of the day, you can either as a unit, or if you have a scout family selling storefront, rather than having them turn in cash to you, they can actually essentially keep the cash and make a payment to true up the point of sale system for that day, if that makes sense. So they can use like a credit card or debit card, and basically, they keep the cash, pay the balance for that day, so that they're not having to like drive over to your house with an envelope of cash to then pay you, that you then have to go to the bank and deposit as a unit leader. So I believe that functionality already exists. I would probably need to hop online with you or anyone else and specifically figure out what the actual steps are to accomplish that, but it should exist in the system already.
Okay, well, so adding on to that, my next question is, you have to do it that day, or could you go back into, pay it at a later day is what I'm asking, because, not everybody has all the money in the bank already. So, if the bank's not open, sometimes you can't put it in that day. You would need to go back and pay later.
Yeah, I know, I believe it's kind of open-ended, but again,
Okay.
I would need to confirm that before I'm 100% confident of that answer.
Okay.
But I believe the answer is yes to your question, that you would have the ability to make that payment after the day of the sales, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to be exact that day.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So moving on, thanks for that question. Moving on to the next item on major changes, and that is our commission benchmark structure. If you meet all the benchmarks, your unit will get 35% of their sales as a commission. So I just want to step through the line items. The base is 21%. If you complete the Trails End commitment tracker by June 30th, that's another 2% on top of the 21. If you schedule and discuss your plan for the season with the district colonel, and in Bill Hart, that's me, by August 15th, that's an extra 3%. Completion of a unit popcorn kickoff by August 15th, where you actually have a kickoff event for your unit, that's going to be an extra 2%. Sell at least 8 storefront shifts, that's 2-hour blocks, 8 2-hour blocks within September, that's an extra 2%. 15% of your sales through online direct, that's an extra 2%. And then sales per unit scout greater than $250 per scout, that's an extra 3%, and that would be based on registered scouts as of July 30th. So there's reason for this. We wanted to incentivize things that actually help you sell more. So actually putting a commitment in the tracker, which is your goal, and having a goal is part of the process of actually meeting that goal. Discussing your plan with the district colonel, that is geared toward making sure you have a realistic plan and are a little conservative, say on your storefront and wagon wheel order, wagon sales order. And to make sure that you've thought through the process and, have a good plan in place. Completion of the unit popcorn kickoff event, that's a very important item, because that's where you can really drum up the excitement in your unit for the actual popcorn. You can have, games. You can have the scouts write down their goal. They can see based on the price sheet where it shows for a certain amount of points, you're in an Amazon card. And in general, these are some type of prizes you could buy on Amazon with that level. And drumming up the excitement, that is a major part of having a successful popcorn selling season. Then selling at 8 storefront shifts, that is to encourage you to get out and actually do some storefront. The major part of our sales every year comes from, well, last year was different. 2020 was different, and it was a COVID, and we did a ton of online sales. That's great. But in a normal year, storefront is a large part of our sales. We want to encourage you to get out there in September and to do some storefront. So we're incentivizing that also. I think once if you haven't tried it in the past, once you've done it and you're very successful at it, you will want to continue. 15% of sales through online direct. That is just to encourage you to get started with sales as soon as online direct opens up, and to actually use that sales channel because that starts before anything else. July 1st, online direct opens up. So that gives you an opportunity from July 1st through when you can actually do storefront to get additional sales for your unit. So we're incentivizing you to actually jump in there and do that. And then sales per unit scout greater than 250. That is strictly to encourage participation and for you to go out and actually reach for a sales number that will really benefit your unit. So those are the specific items that add up to your 35% commission.
Question.
Go ahead.
Are we going to be able to get a copy of this outline that you're reading off of? So
It's
I don't have to write this all down.
Yeah,
Great
all the
question,
documents.
Nancy.
Yeah, all the documents, including this agenda, is on the council website, and so we've put everything there. The link to the commitment tracker, this outline, anything we are presenting here. There's a popcorn kernel guide document there, all in one place. So you could go to one place and get all these documents. Okay.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Okay, next item that's on our list of changes. Every year, our storefront wagon sales products are a little different, and as we move around. So this year, we're gonna the sweet and savory collection is still here. It's gonna be at a $40 sales price. Salted caramel continues, and that's gonna be at $25. There's going to be a large kettle corn bag where it's already popped. It's not the microwave. That's going to be $20. Unbelievable butter microwave continues. It's gone up a little bit in price. It's going to be at $20. And then the blazing hot popcorn bag, of course, is going to be $20. White cheddar, $20. White cheddar is always a big seller. There's going to be a popping corn jar that'll be $15. Our classic caramel corn small bag of popcorn has remained at the $10 price point forever, and it's always a big seller. And then if they don't eat popcorn and they still want to contribute to scouting, we have the American Heroes donations that they can do. This year, there's a $1 amount that can be taken times as whatever you want. So really, the $1 becomes any amount you want it to be, because you can multiply it. And then there we will have a standard $30 and a standard $50. And then they're going to limit the, there's also going to be milk chocolate pretzels, but it's going to be online order only for the milk chocolate, which is like online direct for the milk chocolate pretzels. Chocolate's always hard to for us to handle, and we usually only really have it towards the end of the season, because at the beginning it's way too hot to have any chocolate item out at a storefront or wagon. So we're going to limit that to online direct only. Okay, and then so that's like major changes, and then we want to highlight some restrictions that we have on when you're out doing storefront or wagon sales. So I'm going to hand it over to Andrew to talk about those items.
Thanks, Gary. I get to be a little bit of the Debbie Downer this morning, so to speak, or at least remind you of what the rules and regulations of the Boy Scouts of America are. So units are not supposed to solicit cash contributions directly to their unit. That is actually a rule and always has been the case. So we would remind you that if someone, if you're out selling and someone says, well, I don't want to purchase popcorn, but here's $5, here's $10, here's $3, here's whatever. Those donations can be recorded as miscellaneous military donations at the $1 level. So you can record those donations as $1 increments to whatever that number is. And that is the appropriate and legal way to accept those contributions and ensure that your unit still receives commission on them, but that you're not violating the rules and regs of the Boy Scouts of America. So please do that the right way. Selling Scouts should be in their Scout uniform because, again, you're representing the organization and the brand, and also, you're visible in the community, and that's important. So people know the uniform, they respect it and see it as a known brand. So we'd encourage you to be in uniform while you're out. Of course, being in complete uniform and not looking goofy is appreciated, but do wear your uniform. Make sure that you're being a good steward of wherever you're selling. So clean up after yourselves. If you have product samples out or something like that, which, with COVID, that probably wasn't a thing last year, but we'll see what the restrictions are as we head into the fall. Just make sure you're keeping your space tidy. We work through retailers and also landlords of those retailers to be out in the public and have opportunities for boothing and show and sell. And so we want to make sure that we're leaving the area better than we found it. We'd also encourage you, if you're out and you see some other trash on the ground, pick it up. Be a good steward. That helps the relationships that we have in the community, and will only make the likelihood that of the sale better in the future, so that we're invited back to participate. If you are going to have multiple scouts at a boothing location, and just to clarify that the general preference or suggested preference is that you have one parent, one scout selling at a show and sell location or point of egress, so like a doorway. And the thought process there is that, at least in my experience, the more scouts you have together, the more horseplay that tends to ensue. And so, having that opportunity, one scout, one parent out, allows them to better focus on, participating in the sale, and also can help the customer experience, where customers going into and out of stores don't feel like they're getting mobbed or that we're somehow blocking entrance or out of the location. But if you are going to have multiple scouts, you do need to have 2 adults present for each storefront shift. Okay, so the only reason you wouldn't have 2 deep leadership would be if you have a parent and a scout selling together. And then just, again, a reminder as adults, it's always appropriate if you're a uniformed leader to also wear your uniform. Please make sure that you're modeling good behavior, being courteous and kind. Remember that you're not only yourself as an adult in the public space. If you're wearing the uniform, if you're representing the scouting brand, you should be held to a higher standard of behavior and decorum than you would perhaps normally as an individual citizen going about your daily lives. So just be friendly, courteous, and kind. Roll with the punches. Don't take anything personally. People sometimes do have negative reactions for whatever the reason. And, it's not about you or your scout being out or about. It's about that person's unique experience. And so just thank you for your feedback. Hope you have a lovely day, and just allow them to move on with their lives. Don't try and get into a confrontation with anybody in public. That doesn't help them or you or the organization. Anything else I missed, Gary?
I have a question.
Go for it.
No, I think that covered it. Go ahead.
Typically we used to do 2 doors, 2 scouts per door. What are the adult requirements? Is it 2 adults per door? It's the same store, by the way. It's just 2 different doors. Is it two adults per door if it's more than 1 scout, or can 1 scout be on one side, 2 on the others?
I would say if they're within, so as long as you have no one-on-one contact, usually the youth protection guidelines are two adults per meeting or activity or outing. So if you have 2 adults present at the site, they're within, easy potential vision of each other and things like that. And there's no one-on-one contact between a scout who's not that adult's child. So for instance, like you wouldn't be the one adult with a scout at a door that isn't your child. You should be okay. So if you have 2 adults on site, but you're separated by a couple hundred feet between 2 doors, as long as and you're gonna have 2 scouts at each door, that would be fine. You'd still meet the youth protection guidelines.
Thank you.
All right. So let's move on to so we've hit the major changes, and then we're going to go through a popcorn sale timeline checklist next, which is going to be super beneficial to any new popcorn kernels. If the seasoned kernels want to stay on and go through it with us, that's great. So Andrew, you want to bring that up on the screen, please?
Yep, sorry, I was responding to chat. Distracted for just a second, Gary. Are we the timeline, the checklist? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, will do.
Okay, so what we did, and this is one of the last 2 pages of the kernel guide that's on the website, the council website, is this checklist. So you will have this checklist, and we grouped it and made it so it's not only just a checklist, it's a timeline checklist. So, hey, when should I be doing what? Well, this is the document to go to. So this is really the Bible on activities. So we're just going to step through it. If you have questions, definitely speak up. Okay, so, and Andrew and I are both going to participate in this. So the first item, which is something that there's some items on here that say as soon as possible. The first item, no later than June 30th, is to register for the popcorn sale at www.trailsend.com/unit registration. And we need you to go there to do this. This is where you would, put your commitment. If you don't already have an account, a leader account, this is where you would also set up your leader account. And so this is something that you need to do as soon as you can. Any comment, other comment, Andrew?
Yeah, I would just say part of the rationale for that is one, so that we know that your unit is planning to participate, which is helpful at a local council level. But also, if you are not currently listed as a contact and or you haven't committed for the fall, you may not be receiving all of the emails from Trails and with some of the resources in terms of webinars and other information that they put out. They tend to do a weekly newsletter or a series of emails that go out to unit kernels. And so we want to make sure that you're getting that information sooner rather than later, as opposed to, not knowing any of that and then coming back in August and trying to start then.
All right, the next item, which you could start now, but you need to have it done no later than August 14th, is signing up for Trails End webinars and to join the Trails End Facebook group. There's a Trails End Facebook group that you can use to actually exchange information, get information, ask questions. So it's just another source besides your local leaders to get information and to solve issues. And signing up for Trails End webinars, there's Trails End webinars geared towards kernels. There's Trails End webinars for your parents to take to learn about how to use the app. The app is pretty straightforward, but you know, a webinar may help them feel more comfortable using it. So we would want to get that done as soon as possible. And also there's to direct your families to www.trailsend.com for additional information on selling and selling tips. They have a lot of sales-oriented presentations that can be very valuable. And then a very important thing is every parent should download the Trails End app onto their smartphone, because that's where all the selling transactions are recorded. So that's also a very important thing. So these are items you need to get done as soon as possible. And it will, if you can get this done, it helps you in the future get ready for the sale itself. Andrew, any comments?
No, I just think that the early start and kind of rollout piece of communications from the units to their families is important. Reminding families that, you know, now is the time to kind of lay some of the prep work and get their account set up and start to get oriented to the app and the program. Reminding folks that the online direct sale opens July 1st. And that's the first way that a scout can start, you know, making sales and getting credit towards their prizes and incentives. I think is important. And we just want to make sure that it's clear to families that that's an opportunity that they can take advantage of. And the same thing for your unit, that you can start to work towards meeting your unit goal over the summer and into the fall. You don't have to wait for September to start the process.
Yeah.
A couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
On registration, for example, myself, I might be involved in the girls and boys troop for 10. We need to register the troop separately, or can we just make one big ball of wax?
So you'd want to commit for both units individually, because that way you have access to both individual unit accounts, can do transfers and transactions, see the scout sales for each account. So yeah, you want to make sure you're registered for both individual units.
Okay, and then is there, you mentioned get used to the app and play with it. Is there a sandbox where we can just play and learn and not actually buy stuff, just to get everybody acquainted with the app?
I believe so. Let me do a little Google sleuthing on that, Gerald, and let's see if I can get you where that information is. I know at one time they had one. But they do also have a series of training videos for all levels. So there's some that are kernel level videos. There's some that are unit, or individual family level videos about how to use the app, make sales. So they've got a pretty robust learning library. And so that could be a component of your kickoff, or if you wanted to roll some of those details out and share those videos with families in advance, that would be a good resource.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I got a troop and a pack, and I'm going to be the colonel for the pack, another mother's for the troop. But could we both be on both the pack and the troop so we can work together on this?
Yeah, actually you can have as many people there has to be one primary contact on your leader page, but you can have multiple others recorded there. They would have access to the leader page.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
In the past, when you're saying have everybody register and commit and everything and get the app downloaded, like all the parents, if they've previously had the app and had their scout registered, they don't need to do it again, right? They just need to update it.
That's correct. Yeah, they won't need to re-register with Trails End for the fall sale if they have an existing account. They should, try and open the app and log in if there may be an update that they need to do to the app. If they haven't used it in some time, but other than that, they won't need a new login or anything like that.
Right. Because
And
I've
there is
had
an
parents
option.
that just start new ones and then I go on to, look at their sales or put something in and there's like 3 of them.
Right.
And it makes it confusing because you don't know which one was the newest one.
For sure. So you as a colonel and any unit colonel should have the ability to see which scouts are currently registered at your unit as it relates to having an account that's active through the Trails End website. If you need help with that, or you need help clarifying, or you need help merging accounts or anything like that, by all means, just reach out to Gary or I, and we'll work. Either if we can handle it, we'll resolve it. If not, we can escalate it to Trails End support and be there to help ensure that it's not confusing or problematic.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question, do you know who the popcorn colonel is for the AV district? Do we have one yet?
It's me.
Okay.
Me.
Oh, yay.
Me again.
Cool.
Thank you. That's all I got to say. Okay, let's move on. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. The next item on May 22nd today, so you can actually check this one off if you're on the in the meeting here, is to attend the District or Council Popcorn Kickoff event and build your popcorn team. So, but that also highlights that it's great you're the colonel, but I have found from my past experience of first doing it all myself and then going, maybe I should ask some other people to help me out. I'm still the main point. I still am the person that's controlling things, but I have some people that can help me out, so I don't have to take the heavy lift all myself. So I definitely encourage you at your unit as colonel to ask a few people to help you out, to especially when you're doing some of the recognition at unit meetings for your kickoff event, for actually coordinating people to pick up your storefront and wagon sale product, and actually managing that product with your storefronts. So there's ways for them to help you out, but you're still going to be coordinating all the efforts. All right. Then the next a couple items which you would want to accomplish, you can actually start now, and it will go through the end of the sale, is to start your, well, not now, I mean July 1st, sorry. Start selling early and start with online direct. And you can actually do door-to-door online too, where you go door-to-door and you actually do an online direct sale door-to-door, where, and for new colonels, online direct just means the order is placed directly to Trails End and they ship the product out to the customer. Basically, go ahead.
So this year again, and we had started doing this last year, we have door hangers that are available for scouts and units free of charge, where if you have a scout in a local neighborhood, obviously people are still COVID sensitive. So if going door to door and actually ringing the doorbell and talking to somebody would be uncomfortable, we have those available too. So a scout could kind of canvass a neighborhood with the door hangers. They can write their scout ID number on it, or a little note if it's a neighbor that they have a relationship with. Personalization is always a great way to get a sale. Those are available for use as well as early as that July 1st opening date of the sale. I think we have about 10 or 15,000 door hangers in stock. So I would love to see them out in the community being used.
Right. And
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Sure.
The door hangers, do we come to the scout office to get them Mr. Sisolak?
Yeah, Raul, we've got them at the Van Nuys office for pickup. So just shoot me an email with how many you want, and I'll bundle them up for you, and we'll have them ready. Either if I'm in, happy to hand them over to you, or I can leave them with Cindy in the scout shop for pickup.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can bring some up to Bill Hart and to Avi as well.
Good. So when we're talking about door-to-door, just you can do online, well, you can do online direct, you can do online door-to-door, like starting July 1st. You'll get your storefront wagon product on September 10th. So from the 11th on, you could actually, if that gets distributed out to your small amount out to your scouts to sell door-to-door, they would have that product in their hand to also do door-to-door sales. All right, so moving on to the next item, which is, Andrew, can you move the document up a little bit? Because the bottom of the next group's cut off on my screen. Thank you. Whoop, too far. Oh, perfect. All right, thank you. Okay, so starting July 15th, but no later than August 1st. So this is a planning item for you, or items, I should say. Complete your programs planned for the year. You can get the kids' input. You want to set your budget goal by calculating the cost of all the activities your unit wants to plan for the following year. Calculate the amount of popcorn you need to sell to meet your goal. Break the goal down to individual scout. Make sure that your deadlines and important dates are on your calendar for your group and are communicated out to your membership. Schedule and plan out your unit's popcorn kickoff. You know, make it fun. That's the number one thing is if you make it fun, it will be fun. You can do, again, games, you know, have them write down goals. Just try to make it, you know, you can have, for people that scouts that want to commit to a certain sales level, you can have a fun prize like cream pie in the face of a leader when they, you know, at the rewards banquet afterwards, after the sale's over. You know, you still can do a virtual kickoff if your unit is still hesitant to do in face-to-face meetings, though with things opening up mid-June, I think you're going to have the ability to safely meet. But the key is to just make that a really fun event and drum up the excitement for the sale. You know, determine the best incentives for your unit that are above and beyond the console prize, Amazon gift cards. Like prizes for the top seller, or, you know, use your imagination, pizza party for top selling dinner patrol, gift cards for additional gift cards for high sales amounts. You get to determine that, what would motivate or really recognize your scouts. So there's a lot of information here. The key is to actually have a plan, to make sure that you get your committee involved and make sure you communicate to them what the plan is and that you discuss it, you know, so you have their buy-in, to your other leaders in your unit to make sure they're on board with you, so they will also promote the selling and so forth. Andrew, any other comments?
No, I think that kind of proactive engagement piece that Gary touched on is really important. You know, there's kind of a spectrum of popcorn culture in different units. And I think Gary would attest that it does take some time to change that culture. So if you're currently in a unit where it's, yeah, we do some popcorn and we do some show and sell and we ask some people to participate and we hope that they do, and that's where you are, that's great. I mean, that's part of doing a popcorn sale. I think aspirationally, certainly there could be space for a culture to be built over time where everybody sells popcorn in the unit, everybody participates, and you have goals. And if everybody hits that goal, then the unit succeeds, and there's reduced costs, whether it be not having to pay dues to the unit, whether it's an entirely free program for the year. Again, I think it's kind of a spectrum of popcorn culture. So I mean, there are some units in the country where nobody pays anything, to be part of the unit for the year. They don't pay for summer camp, they don't pay for advancements, they don't pay registration, they don't pay for camping and activities, because that is how the unit functions. Is everybody really pitches in during the popcorn sale. They raise tens of thousands of dollars for the unit during that time, and it's their one fundraiser for the year, and then the rest of the year they just focus on having fun and program. So I think, look at where you are and maybe where you want to be, and then go through that program planning and budgeting process and have those conversations about, aspirationally, what do we want to do as a unit this year? How can popcorn help fund all of those adventures to take the burden off our individual families paying their way? And then, our families, if you were to present families with a plan of, if we do X, we all get Y, that's when you start to drive engagement, because the families see the value of why they're doing this work. If you kind of go about it the other way, which is just, we're going to try and sell some popcorn and hopefully raise some money, but the families don't necessarily have that direct values proposition as to why they're doing it, you're going to struggle to get the engagement and buy-in and perform maybe the way that you want. So it is maybe a little bit more challenging initially to kind of make that shift. But I think what you'll find, if you're able to, and if you work towards it, you'll see really significant increases in the engagement from families, participation in the sale, and then kids just having a great time. Because the kids like to succeed. They like to be challenged. They like to compete a little bit against each other. They want to be the top seller. They want to pie an adult leader in the face. They want to go out and do the work. And I think the parents and families will too, as long as there's value in the effort.
Yeah, I think just for new colonels, the typical, and this doesn't mean this is what you would do in your unit, but for Cub units, many Cub units will decide on a sales amount that they want every scout in their unit to meet, and they will give them that goal. Everybody will participate in the sale, and then all the funds that are raised are used for the program for the year and all the activities. So those activities become free for all the scouts and families that participate in them. And that's a typical Cub Scout program. For Boy Scouts, it's a little different. I can tell you that our program was a volunteer program. So I would have, out of 50 scouts, I'd probably have 27 that sold, but we would, sell 25,000, 20 plus in sales just from that group. It doesn't mean that as a Boy Scout troop that you would do that same program. And then a portion of our scouts sales goes to their campership fund, which 90% of the time gets used for summer camp. The other uses they can use it for is required uniform, saving for their Eagle project, those kind of things. And then, so they get a portion, the troop gets a portion, and that's how we do it. Doesn't mean that's how you would do yours. I'm just saying that's a program, a way of actually doing the sales. Anyway, so, and I think one thing we should highlight also is, as you're going through this, every meeting during the sale, you need to recognize your top sellers. You need to like you do your top 10, or if you want to do more than that, name the scout, say what sales they are. What that does, it recognizes them for their efforts, right? In front of their contemporaries. That is a huge motivator, especially for scouts that want to be number one, okay? And the key is if you have that recognition in every meeting, it just drives the sale. It drives the sale. It's one of the best things you can do throughout the season to keep the motivation going. So I would highly recommend that. And we usually did that at the top of the meeting during announcements. All right, so let's move on to the next item, which is from July 19th, when it first becomes available through the remainder of the sale, is when you can secure your storefront locations. So you need to do that and sign up. You sign up for the kernel. As a kernel, you'll sign up for 4-hour block. But I would recommend that you make your actual shifts 2 hours long. That's enough time for them to actually record a reasonable amount of sales, but it's not too long that since they are kids, that they get really crazy bored and everything. So that's what I recommend. So as a kernel, you're going to sign up for 4-hour blocks. That's how it's divided up. But within that 4-hour, in each 4-hour blocks, that's really two 2-hour shifts. The store Trails End is secured store locations, and you can actually sign up for your blocks through your leader page. And once you sign up for those 4-hour blocks on your leader page, your scouts can then sign up for shifts through the Trails End app they have on their phone. So that whole process is fairly automated, which it hadn't been 2 years ago. So you're going to have that ability to manage that whole process through your leader page and your scouts signing up for shifts actually through the app. Andrew, anything you wanted to add?
Yes, I mean, that's a huge boon to both unit leaders and to our council that Trails End is doing all they're calling the store managers, they're setting up the calendar dates, they're getting permission, consent letters, handling the certificates of insurance. They're doing all that pre-work for us, where in the past it would have been something we have to do as a local council or individual unit leaders. So there was actually an initial email that went out, I think, with kind of a proposed store list of locations they were going after. There'll be additional iterations of that, so you can kind of see real time what locations they're working on. If there's a location you would like to nominate to be added, or if there's a location that's not on the list, you individually can certainly approach those locations as alternate selling locations. But most of the major grocers are definitely on those lists, as are places like Lowe's and Home Depot and kind of other big box locations. And so I think their commitment this year is that they were going to secure 5,000 selling hours at retail locations for our council, which is, I mean, that's a huge amount of selling hours, potential selling hours. If you figure that based on like an average of $150 an hour in sales, which is pretty average, the potential sales that we could do as a council and our individual units is huge. So just do take advantage of that program. We want to ensure that, Trails End is absorbing the costs of doing all that work. So we want to make sure that we're, acknowledging that effort and then signing up and taking advantage of that program and process, so that they continue to do it for us and make our lives easier.
Yeah, that simplified the process. And, in the past, before we had this, stores were double booking. It didn't happen all the time, but they were double booking units. So 2 units would show up for the same location. You had to manage your storefronts through a separate spreadsheet of your own. And this definitely simplifies the process for everybody. So it's a major add for us. Andrew, can you move the document up to the next page, please?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't see any storefronts available online on my registration page. Are they there yet? Are they listed?
No, they won't be available until July 19th, Joe.
Yeah.
So they're still working on securing them. So all that they had published via an email was a list of proposed locations, but the actual sign up. There's kind of a process to it. So they release on a certain, they'll send out emails in advance of it. But the first day you open, your unit is limited in the number of initial shifts that they can secure based on your prior sales volume. So, and the thought process behind there is to create some equity so that one unit doesn't swoop in and score every single potential Walmart store or something like that for themselves. So you'll have the ability to sign up for shifts kind of in tranches, and then at a certain point it'll just be open season where your unit can sign up for as many shifts as they want wherever they want. But that won't begin until July 19th.
Copy. Thanks.
Right. All right. Moving on to the next item, and this would need to be done starting August 1st, but no later than the 14th, is to create a communication plan developed to reach all the families. In other words, you need to reach out to your membership and communicate with them on the plan, what the goals are, and you can decide on what type of communication you want to actually use. I, in the past, have used emails and announcements at meetings. How often you send out communication pieces now? I've learned in scouting that it's a three-peat. So communications are usually your initial one, a week out maybe, and then another communication closer to the actual deadline or event you want to happen, then one on the day. And that seems to work reasonably well. You just got to understand that in a volunteer organization, that one communication is not going to cut it. So just keep that in mind. You want to definitely communicate out any instructions, any deadlines to your group. When you have your kickoff, definitely do some role play on selling, because if the first time a scout has to go through that process is at the storefront, they're going to be less comfortable. So if they can do it as part of the kickoff event, to do some role playing with another scout or one of the adult leaders in the group to actually step through the steps, they're going to be more motivated to do it, and they're going to be more confident when they actually go out to storefront or when they do wagon. So I would definitely keep that in mind. Also, during this August through 14th period, you need to conduct as I said, the unit popcorn kickoff. It's also one of the items on your commission benchmark list, so you definitely want to do one. And again, enlist the help of others in the unit to do it. It's a fun thing. You can be very creative. If you're a creative person, man, this is it. I mean, on our popcorn kickoff for games, we've done stuff like get PVC pipes. I brought popcorn. We hung up some sticky rat traps as targets, and they blew the popcorn through the PVC tubes at the sticky targets. And if they stuck the popcorn, that was a point for them, and that was the game. But you can use your imagination and really, really, really make it fun. So Andrew, any comment on this?
Yeah, one of the other kind of silly examples that we had from a few years back from a pack in Agora Hills was the dad was kind of handy, and so he took a Sparklets Arrowhead water bottle and a shop vac and basically built a popcorn like spray cannon. And so as part of his Cub pack meeting, there was like, and he'd done this for multiple years, so like the kids knew it was coming, right? So it was like popcorn shower, popcorn shower. The kids are chanting, and so he'd come out and load up the cannon with popcorn, and they would spray popcorn everywhere. And I mean, you just make it silly, make it fun, get some high energy excitement out of it. That's what gets the families on board and gets the scouts on board. And really, if the scouts are on board, if the scouts are motivated to sell, you're going to get the parental involvement, because they're going to be tugging at mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or their aunt or uncle, whoever, parent or guardian, and saying, hey, I really want to do this. Let's figure out how to do this together.
Hey, Deanna, Deanna Hickey, are you on?
I am.
Deanna, what are some of the games that you've done?
Gosh, I can't remember. That was 2 years ago. Last year was no games. It was all online. 2 years ago, I think we pretty much destroyed the fellowship hall at the church by throwing popcorn at Dixie cups across the table. Had set the patrols up on a relay, so there was popcorn everywhere.
But it was fun.
I'm old now. I can't remember that far back, Gary.
No, that's a good one. That is a good one. How about Lauren Dills? What are some games or things you've done?
This is actually my first official year as Colonel. So I did last year, but we were 100% online direct. We never had an official popcorn kickoff that wasn't virtual. But so I love the ideas I've heard so far. And one of the ones that we had thought of for this year was you get like a plastic bowl to put on the kids' heads, and whichever kid can catch the most popcorn that's being like thrown down on them is the winner.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
You must have been from the Nickelodeon Double Dare generation that I am part of, because that sounds,
yes,
it's not slime, it's a lot cleaner with popcorn. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, Amy Sheffield or Kendra, did you have anything maybe in your units that you've done?
I just became Colonel last year, and like you said, it's been in COVID, and I had never been to a popcorn kickoff meeting. So I have no idea what they've done, so I would love to hear ideas for this year.
Yeah, definitely would encourage, I mean, just a quick Google search or joining that Trails End community and just throwing out that you're a first-time popcorn colonel. I see a lot of posts and threads related to that, and you'll get hundreds of responses and ideas from colonels all over the country of what works for them and what they've used to generate excitement. So I mean, I will confess, you'll probably get a lot better ideas out of that, kind of brain trust of people from across the country than you will from just Gary or I. But yeah, there's tons of ideas and opportunities and ways of getting people excited.
Okay, great.
In my Cub Scout days, I had a hat. I said, if you guys meet your goals for the previous year, I'll eat my hat. So I made a popcorn hat out of a hard hat with plastic on it and stuck popcorn on it. So when they met their goals, I ate my hat. So it was a lot of fun.
This is also my first year as popcorn colonel, and I don't remember any games at the kickoff, but I do remember the reward was if you sold so much popcorn, you got to do a pie in the face for your den leader. So we did the Cool Whip pie in the face, and all the den leaders got multiple pies in the face at the end of the whole thing, and that was a huge incentive and a lot of fun.
Yeah, when we were in Cub Scouts, we actually had the eat a bug. We had leader would eat a bug. And that was a challenging for certain leaders, but it was crickets and mealworms, I believe. And the scouts really enjoyed that because, we made sure we made lots of faces and so forth. But the fact they made us eat a bug, they thought was very funny. Any others? any other examples? Speak up, and because we're here to hear what you've done.
I actually had a question regarding all these awesome kickoff events with, it sounds like you need gallons and gallons of popcorn if you're doing popcorn showers or throwing popcorn at each other. Where do you get this popcorn? Like, what's the best?
We've
I
got
would guess Trail's End, but
yeah, we've got some leftover now slightly stale popcorn at the office we can help you out with.
okay. Okay.
You can also get huge bags of pre-popped popcorn for events such as this, where most of it's going to end up on the floor at Smart and Final.
Ah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, let's move on then. Great ideas. All right, so the next item, which would be from August 20th to September 4th, you want to coordinate. This is for storefront wagon product that you're going to have physically. You need to coordinate assistance to pick up the popcorn at the designated warehouse. In the past, it's been the Alfred Mann Foundation location for Bill Hart. We don't know exactly what the locations are going to be yet, but obviously we're going to communicate that out to you way in advance of you actually having to pick it up. And so the key is that depending on how many cases you get, of course, there's a certain amount of cases that'll fit in every vehicle. And it's better to have too many vehicles than not enough. And so we will get communication out to you before that you'll need to do this on you know where you're going to pick it up and an average amount of cases per vehicle. So you can make that calculation. You'll know how many vehicles you need to arrive at the warehouse to pick up the volume, and you'll also have a scheduled time. So so that we can run you through. What normally happens is you arrive and we'll have popcorn stacked out along a parking lot, and you'll drive around to each stack will be one specific product, and you'll drive around with your order, and there'll be assistance there to load the product onto your vehicles, and you'll sign off on receiving the correct amount. And once you've gone through the loop, you'll be done, you'll be loaded up, and you'll can depart. So, but that process, like I said, will be fully communicated to you in advance. Any comment on that, Andrew?
No, just as Gary said, it's still a little bit in flux. You know, we're optimistic that we'll get back to kind of a full scale or size sale. And just for those who don't know or who are new, you know, on an annual basis prior to COVID, as a council, we would sell about $500,000 to $600,000 worth of popcorn, which that's a lot of corn from a volume standpoint. But you know, we're still somewhat. The fall is an unknown, so we'll have to see as our unit orders start to come in. You know, where we're at from a case count standpoint, and then you know, some of what determines that is just we do receive certain volume discounts as it relates for cost of goods and things, and so we have to be kind of thrifty and as a council and think about shipping locations and case counts and those kinds of things. So as soon as we have those details, we'll of course share them out with everybody. But we'll try and make it as painless as possible for our units to pick up their popcorn, and of course make sure you have it in a timely fashion so you can get out that first weekend and really hit the ground running. And that's definitely a best practice. Is the best time to sell popcorn is the first day the popcorn's available, because no one has been offered the opportunity to purchase it yet, and obviously everyone's enthusiasm and excitement is high. And the sooner you sell the popcorn, the sooner you as the colonel or someone in your unit family doesn't have to store it in their living room or garage. So there's always good motivation to move it sooner rather than later.
All right, Thank you. And moving on to the next item, which you'll want to do, or it's scheduled, I should say, for September 10th is the actual pickup from the distribution location. We talked about, you're going to have your coordinated vehicles there. The key is to, once you've picked it up, is you have to have decided in advance where you're going to store the popcorn. And the key is it can't be somewhere that's subject to high temperatures. So, in August, in September and the beginning of October, it's usually still pretty warm in Southern California. So you need to just keep that in mind. You want to store it in a moderate temperature area. All our years that we've done it, we've stored it at a person's home. My front room was many times the inventory storage. If you have an insulated garage, that would work out too. But the key is to put it somewhere where it's not subject to high temperatures. That's the key. Any comment on that, Andrew?
No, just do make sure you've thought through where you're going to put it, and mentally envision how much volume you're talking about ahead of time, so you're not surprised when you pull up to someone's house and all of a sudden there's nowhere to put it, whether it's loading it into a car or into someone's living room or garage. No additional thoughts there.
All right. And then
quick question for Andrew.
Yes.
I think we might have touched on this before, but right now, as the RA development chair, I already have 2 logins for Trails End, one for Troop 10 and one for as the development chair. Is there a way to add the troop to my 2 troops to 1 login?
Yeah, just send me an email reminder, Gerald, and I'll try and sort that out offline.
Okay.
And get you set up.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, so the next item, and we're recommending this to be done between September 11th and September 12th, or as soon as possible after that. And that is, if you're picking your storefront wagon sale product up on September 10th, that you actually do a distribution out to the kids that want to do, or scouts that want to do wagon sales as soon as possible, so they can actually start that process. And also, hopefully you have scheduled some storefronts for that weekend. The September 10th is a Friday, the 11th and the 12th are that Saturday and Sunday. But that'll be your first opportunity, now that you have physical product, to do storefront with product and to distribute out to the scouts a small amount for them to start wagon sales. So anyway, that's so we're recommending that for that weekend, so you can get a jump start on the wholesale for wagon and storefront. Any comment on that, Andrew?
No, I encourage everyone, again, be intentional, and the sooner you start, the more runway you have to get towards your goal. So if you have a goal for your unit, if you start as early as you can in September, it's much better to be in a position where you either exceeded your goal, sold all your product, and then you have a decision if you want to do more or not, versus starting later in the sale and then realizing that you either don't have enough weekends or don't have enough time to get where you want to be. So just try and front load things, whether that's starting with the online direct, whether that's starting with your storefronts, but just encourage you to kind of think that way, and I think it'll make your life easier in the long run.
Yeah. Okay, so the next item is also starting on that September 11th, when you can start storefront wagon sales, to collect the money to really, if you have cash coming through, that you get collected on a timely basis, that you remember that parents can pay with their credit card instead of giving you the cash, and they can keep the cash and remit to you with a credit card. And also note that all the checks from sales need to be made out to your unit, not to the council. So so you're going through that process. Just I would recommend, on if you do have cash that comes to you from Storefront and Wagon, that you make sure it's been recorded in the Trails End app, and that you also get it in your bank account as soon as you can, so you're not holding on to large amounts.
And just as a reminder, Trails End covers all of the credit card fees themselves. So there is no fee assessed to units for running sales through the Trails End app. If you're doing your own thing with a Square account or PayPal or Google Checkout or whatever, you're going to end up paying and eating those transaction costs. So there is some using the app with credit cards makes sense for a couple other reasons. One, you're not handling cash. There's no liability to you carrying around a bunch of cash. You can't lose cash or have cash stolen. If people are writing checks, there's no chance of someone bouncing a check or writing a bad check. And again, as it relates to cash too, unfortunately, we have had issues in the past with people using counterfeit currency, whether they knew it or not. And then a unit goes to take a $100 bill to the bank and it doesn't get accepted and has to deal with that. So, the app with the credit card processing provides a lot of security and kind of peace of mind and just ease of business. And also ensures that you as a unit and the council and Trails End, everybody's kind of getting paid more rapidly. So just putting that out there, I realize that, there are some parts of the council where sometimes cell phone access from a mobility standpoint can be a challenge. But if you have the ability, I'd encourage you to use the app and do as much credit card payment as possible using the point of sale features in the app to make your life easier on the back end.
Yeah, all the sales need to go through the app, whether it's cash or credit card, because you can record a cash sale through the app also. Okay, moving on to the next. Just as a reminder, the October 15th date is the mid-sale payment to council. We already kind of covered that, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Then on the next item on November 6th, that's going to be the deadline to place your final take order. And for new kernels, you're going to sell through some of your inventory or all of your inventory, and you're going to have orders that you don't have product for, right? So the take order, that final unit take order, is your chance to fill those remaining orders you don't have product for. So that's your final order. Of course, prior to that, you still have the ability to do transfers of product between units through the Trails End app to also, fill your orders that way. But this is on November 6th, this is your last chance to actually order some additional popcorn for your unit for orders that you don't have inventory for. It's also the deadline to make your final council payment based on the same calculation that was used for the mid sale payment. Now it may turn out there's nothing owed, or a small amount owed, because as we were talking earlier, the process is that you keep a lot of the cash that you're due as commission throughout the sale. So, but that, you'll get an invoice, and that will be an amount calculated by council of the amount that you owe.
Yeah, the only two reasons you would really have a final payment due or a significant final payment due would be one, if you're doing predominantly cash sales, right? Because those aren't being credited towards your balance unless you're turning in cash to council, or if you haven't sold your popcorn. Those would be the only two scenarios that you would have a real balance due. Because if you're selling your product, you're doing the credit card transactions, you're doing online direct, you're getting real-time credits for all those transactions towards your balance due. And so, the hope would be that by the end of the sale, there is no balance due from any unit, that you've already received your commission back, if that makes sense.
Right.
Question.
And also, go ahead.
Sorry. So if you do a lot of credit card sales, and theoretically you would actually have money coming back to you. So are we still going to be getting checks then?
So no, so that was one of the things we started with. Apologies if that wasn't clear. So we're switching from assessing a full retail value for product and having units remit 100% and then issuing commission checks at the end, to just looking at what's owed for the cost of product and the council component. So you will be keeping your commission real time throughout the sale. You'll have the ability through the Trails End account to hypothetically collect payment or remit payment back into your unit account throughout the sale as you sell product.
Okay, so if I understand this, say the person, how's that going to work? So if a person say they buy $100 worth of popcorn, the thing's going to automatically just leave 30% or 35%.
So you'll have you check out your initial popcorn product, then there'll be a cost associated with that as you sell product via online direct or via credit card sales. You'll start to receive credits towards your balance due. And then presuming you get to a 0 point, right, where you've collected enough to cover the entire cost of the product, any additional cash that you collect is your cash. You don't need to turn that in. And any additional credit card commissions or online direct commissions would get added to your online Trails End account. And then you would be able to claim those funds via an EFT to your unit checking account.
There's a place on the leader website to add a bank account. So
correct.
Okay.
So currently right now, for instance, I think it was Lauren or one of the other leaders was talking about they'd had some scouts sell some online direct over the course of 2021 already, even though the portal is open year round. So if a customer goes back online, they can make a purchase. So she actually had a payout that she could claim for her pack right now. I mean, not a massive one, but she has the ability to claim those funds back into her unit account right now.
Okay, great.
So it should help your cash flow as a unit, getting that commission real time, and hopefully less stress as we get to the end of the year about we need that money so we can pay our recharter fees or we can do things like that.
Always been the issue with us and my pack and troop is that most people really rely on that popcorn for that rechartering, and a lot of times we don't get the check until late December, which messes up our rechartering.
Yeah. So this should make your life easier for sure.
Yeah, that's great, because I have a sister-in-law who used to be a leader in Minnesota, and that's the way they were doing it a long time ago. And I was like, gosh darn, why can't we do the same thing? They're actually, spending their money as they're doing sales,
Well, we've joined that group now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. All right. One other thing to note on this item is throughout the sale, there is going to be an inventory amount at the council office. So as you say that you have your initial order of storefront and wagon product, and say you quickly sell out of an item, right? And you want, because it's such a big seller, and you want more of that product, you have two places you could potentially get it. You have the council office, which will maintain a certain amount of inventory. And so to be able to obtain that, you'd contact the council office and say how much you want. They'll look at their inventory. If they have it, they'll set it aside for you, and then you can go to the council office and pick it up. The other way you're going to be able to do it is to actually reach out to other units and say, you're looking for this product because you've sold through it, and you're looking for X amount of cases of, say, small caramel corn. And if somebody has extra cases, and rather than take them back to the council office, they'll probably be very happy to do the exchange with you through the Trails End app. So you're not stuck if you're, you're going to have a plan, but if it goes much better than you thought, you have resources to go to get additional product is the key. All right. So moving on to the next item is on November 13th is the deadline to submit your unit prize order. And that is approving or submitting your rewards in the Trails End app. And that allows your scouts to claim their Amazon gift cards on their account. Any comment on that?
Yeah, so the way that process works is, obviously there are certain sales thresholds that tie to Amazon gift card prizes. You'll basically just make any adjustments, perhaps if maybe something wasn't recorded in the app, although obviously we want everything to be recorded in the app. If there's any adjustments, you can do that and then submit your prizes for approval. There's usually kind of a 5-day waiting period where Trails End says, to us as a local council, this unit has submitted their prize order. We make sure that your prize order doesn't exceed your hypothetical sales potential, meaning that you didn't indicate that you sold more popcorn than you could, which is now a lot easier because everything's through the app. And then those gift cards are dispersed to Scouts' individual Trails End Scout account. So once you submit, after about 5 business days, those gift cards should be populated in the individual Scouts' Trails Ends account. They log into their account. They can then claim that gift code and either copy paste the code from their account. It'll also send an automated email to their email address on file with it. They can upload that to Amazon and either have it sit there until they want to spend it or use it right away, whatever is convenient and appropriate for them. And I did want to just jump back real quick, Gary, as it relates to the final take order with 2 reminders. So the first initial order is by case, right? So you as a unit, you order full and complete cases of product. The final order is by container. So if you're at a point in the sale where you've managed your inventory, you're trying to get to 0 inventory, right? Because you don't want to be sitting on popcorn, you can order individual bags or items as needed, and we'll provide fulfillment at that level. And then the second component is the military donations, Scouting Heroes donations are recorded at the end of the sale. So even as you're collecting them real time through the app point of sale, it isn't until that final take order that you actually add them to your order. And there is a report that we get where if there's like a discrepancy where this unit collected X amount of American Heroes donations, but didn't record them, we can go back and work with you to do that. But those are 2 kind of key components of the final order. And then obviously what I said about the prize submission as well.
I have a question.
Go.
Our troop doesn't, when we do the boothing, we try to go out the first weekend and we go to a couple of different stores, but we don't, is what we do over the weekend. We divide the total sales over the amount of hours that the scouts worked instead of, because now it's going to be 1 phone per scout. And if there's going to be 2 scouts at the door, which scout's going to get that commission when really they shouldn't, because it goes for everybody over the whole weekend, because the first day sells more than on the first weekend sells more than the last day on the second weekend. So to make everything fair, we divide everything by the hour. Is there a way to split that up? But we used to manage that in a spreadsheet. We need to split that up. Is there a way to do that in the app?
Through the app, there are lots of different ways that you as a colonel can split out those sales or attribute credit. So sometimes, you can track it to individual scouts if you want, or if you want to have kind of that bulk. These were the scouts who worked. This is how many hours each one worked, and you're dividing it by hours sold, or however you want to slice and dice it. There are different ways you can do that in the app and apportion credit for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's selected in the app itself.
May I ask a
Go
quick
ahead.
question?
Sure.
Two questions. Just one to go back to, you said for the final inventory, I'm sorry, for if you're low on inventory, you can get it from council. Does council take care of reconciling that at the trails end part? Okay, so Andrew's, okay. So we don't have to do that. Once we get it, the council, it'll be added on to our stuff if we need it.
Yeah. So if you put in
go ahead. Andrew.
Yeah, so if you put in an email request for additional product, we'd work with Linda to figure out how to get it up to you specifically. There'll be a packing slip, and you would sign for those additional items, and then we'll do a manual adjustment to your inventory, and then obviously they'll appear, and then you can assign that product to locations or scouts and sell through it.
Okay, perfect. And then just one other quick thing, and I don't know if this was just lucky me or if it happened. You were mentioning about the chocolate things, and it does depend upon the weather and all of that. And I know we just did online last year, and it happened to be my particular order, so it really didn't matter because I knew it was coming. But I ordered my order, which included something with chocolate. I ordered at the beginning of July, and it didn't get delivered until November. So I didn't know if because they just held everything until they could deliver the chocolate securely, which I appreciated, not a problem. But for others who are ordering and may not know that, 4 months may be kind of a long time. So is there something where they're sending partials, or I don't know if that's been addressed? Maybe it was just me.
I think Jared just joined us, so I'm going to put him on the spot and speak to that. Jared's with Trails End. I know, yeah, really they do try and be very intentional with shipping chocolate to make sure it doesn't melt, because they don't want a negative customer experience. But as to whether they have partial shipments going out ahead of time, that's a great question, and I don't know the answer to. So if Jared is able to unmute himself to speak to it, great. I know he's also at a family event right now, so he may not be able to, but we can get an answer to that for you.
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah, this is great. I haven't been on for 30 seconds. It's awesome. I'm glad. And I don't know the gal's name that asked that question. It's a great question. Yeah. I know that that last year that was the approach, because the year before we had so many customer service issues with us splitting the shipments. At this point, I do not know our plan there, Andrew, but I can find out and let you guys know. And of course, yes, that is a problem when that issue does come up and become more of an issue when there's a chocolate item that's ordered early and then everything holds and waits. So I see the issue, but I don't have a good definite answer right now. But I know that we did have lots of problems before when we were splitting them, and with just people not understanding that they were back ordered, and there were so many calls that we could trace back to the fact that people called and says, "Hey, I didn't get everything I ordered," because we had split. And that, I remember pushing back saying, well, it's because we probably didn't communicate clearly on the packing slip or what have you. But anyway, I'm rambling. So I'll try to find out what our plan of attack is this year and get back to you guys, Andrew.
Okay, thanks, Jared. And I'll make a note, Carol, that we remember to share that information as soon as we have it. Okay, thumbs up. Thank you.
All right, cool. Okay, so what the last item we kind of bolded this is, after the popcorn season's over, make sure that you have a post-sales award and recognition celebration of some sort. For our own troop, we did it in December, but whatever works into your calendar to recognize your top sellers, if you have unit prizes, which I would strongly recommend, that you have, besides the Trails End rewards, that you have your own unit prizes for the top sellers. And this is another time where you could do some games. And this is be where if they hit a certain sales, they did the pie in the face with the leader, that you could do those at this, or, you know, at your kickoff, if however you want to do it. Again, use your imagination, make it fun. It's celebrating everybody's efforts, including your own, on the selling popcorn and for this popcorn selling season. Now we've covered kind of the milestones here and activities and the suggested time periods. The actual details, which, you know, we didn't have, this was not going to be long enough for us to get into the nitty-gritty details. But go to the council website, to the popcorn page, and download the documents. The agenda's there, the comprehensive popcorn kernel guide is there, and it has a lot of great information in it and the details. Sign up for some webinars. Make sure your parents also know where to go for the webinars to help them understand how to use the app. You have lots of resources. There's also on the Trails End website, there's lots of like little sales videos that you can run. And all those items, like the videos, you could actually present at one of your meetings if you wanted to. But as a kernel, the commitment tracker that we said we needed to get done right away, that's on the council website, the link to it. So you can go right there. We tried to put everything you needed in one spot. But definitely go there, download the items, go through your leader guide. That will help you a lot. And then once you've done that, you know, we're the resources for you besides everything in Trails End. Andrew, do you have the contact list you could bring up?
Which contact list were you referring to for the?
We were gonna, well, it's you and I, as far as our, well,
and then the district
right now, I can, we can put together and send it out to the group.
Yeah. We'll send out a local human resource contact list for you, just to make your life.
I want to make sure everybody has that. And then the information that we needed to collect from the kernels on the call, that link, I think is at the beginning of the chat. Is that correct, Andrew?
It is, but I'm going to re-enter it in just a moment.
Okay. So there's a link. We'd like to know everyone that's on the call and their contact information and the unit they're from. And there's a link that was at the beginning of the chat, and Andrew's throwing it up in the chat again. And I will also distribute that out to everyone that was on my, if you got my email about this event, then I will reiterate that link out to you. All right. Andrew, you want to, I got to go grab one of the patches. We actually have a kernel patch for you to wear during the popcorn that recognizes you as a kernel that you will have. I'm going to go grab one, and Andrew can talk about why you should be excited about 2021. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
So what is driving excitement for folks? What are you thinking? What are you excited about? What are you hopeful for as we approach the fall season? I'm just curious, kind of from a feedback perspective. I mean, obviously being able to be out and about, knowing that there's pent-up demand for scouts to have a program and help pay their own way. But what are some of the other reasons from our group for what we're looking forward to, what we're hoping for.
Well, Troop 229, if I may enter, may I?
Please, yeah, please, Raul.
Well, Troop 229 is, we have goals of being able to buy some equipment for the troop for everyone to enjoy, and hopefully help offset some of the costs for summer camp, probably for next year. And those are our two main hopes for Troop 229. That's what we've got going.
Awesome.
That's our goal.
Thank you, Raul. Anyone else want to offer? No pressure if you don't, but anybody else kind of want to offer what they're aspiring to accomplish this fall or what they're hopeful for?
Or just be able to pay for our program. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. And Lauren, you were gonna share?
I was just gonna say, for me personally, this is only my second year of scouting, and so I haven't had the full scouting experience that I know COVID scouting. And so I'm really excited to be able to do storefronts and, put together these in-person events for the kids, like the popcorn kickoff and, the reward party and stuff. And then in addition to that, my hope was also for this year to create some sort of tiered system for our popcorn sellers to cover their annual pack dues, because I think that all the stuff we've mentioned is really, really great for the kids as far as incentive goes. But I think there's also that component of incentivizing parents. And I think getting, some of the pack dues knocked off would be very beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the families need to see and feel that benefit in order to be engaged. And that's not just the kids, but the people who have the car keys and can get them from point A to point B. So definitely.
And I'd like to add that COVID scouting stinks.
I agree.
It's better than no scouting, that's for darn sure. But I'm sure we all want to be back out and together and having fun. So we're looking forward to it. All right, Gary, we had some sharing, but show off the patch.
That is the patch. So everybody who identifies themselves as a colonel on the information we collect, I'm going to get you this patch somehow, even if I have to mail it to you. So I will contact you, and it's a pocket hanger. So on your right hand, it hooks onto your right hand button, and you can wear it, and it's yours. It's pretty cool, I think. Those are actually popcorn kernels on the two sides. I just wanted to, at the end here, also kind of give you, especially new colonels, how much value you can bring to your program. To me, it's huge. I mean, when I came to, my unit is Troop 609. When I came to 609, the prior year, they had sold $3,000 worth of popcorn and really didn't have a robust program. And I thought, hey, this is a place where I could add value to this unit, something that I could enjoy and add value. And so the first year, and I was brand new, didn't have a lot of resources, brand new, trying to figure things out, using my background as an accountant to try to organize things a little bit. But the first year we did $10,000 worth of popcorn sales roughly. And so that was a big improvement on what we had done before. But I thought, well, now that experience, I'm going to build on that experience and try to build the culture at the unit. So the following year we did close to 15,000. So we kept going up. Next year we were at 18. And then the following year we jumped to just under 25. So it wasn't an overnight, but we had to build the culture at our unit. And it's a process. So you may, as a new colonel, be able to jump out there and do very much better than I did my first year. And I would hope that would be the case. And I wish the best to everyone. But what was the benefits of that? We went from a troop with really old, not nice condition equipment, right? And where we had, you know, not a huge amount of scouts going to summer camp, okay? And through this process, with the money that the scouts got for their campership and the money the troop got, we now built all new equipment. So we have very nice equipment at our troop. We have high turnout to summer camp because the scouts have the extra amount for summer camp. They built their scouts that are just came into the troop who are a little shy, went out and did popcorn. It makes them a little more outgoing. They get that sales experience. There's all these positives that were built, and that's the value you can bring to the troop. It's huge. It's huge. It's so important to have a good program, to have good equipment, to build the confidence in your scouts. It's a great process, and our scouts look forward to it. And what's great is to see when new scouts come in and they want to be number one. All right. And you just see them take off. They just take off. And it's that whole process of confidence, of learning to speak to people, to building your program, to really having great, assets to work with, and a robust program. I mean, it will help you recruit. It will help you maintain membership. There's just a lot of very big positives. And so I would use that as motivation for you to go to your unit and really go after this as best you can. And make it fun. That's the key. You can do all this and still make it fun. You can still be the cheerleader. Get in front of the group and be excited about the sales they've done. It's you just gotta communicate, be the cheerleader, and just have some fun. That's number one. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Thanks for sending us off on a positive note, Gary, and appreciate everyone's time and attention this morning. We are at time or a little bit over. We did record this morning's presentation, so we'll make that available after the fact. It will be posted to the council website at that bsa-la.org/product sales. But otherwise, thank you everyone so much for attending today. We'll turn off our recording in just a moment and enjoy the rest of your day. Or if you have remaining questions, feel free to stick around and ask them.